Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we're covering Shudder's original Deadstream.
This is Sean Ruddy coming to you live from Death Manor.
For 7 years now, you have watched me face my fears for your entertainment. There is one fear that I haven't yet faced. I will be spending one night alone in a haunted house. Don't forget to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and follow me on Livid.
This is the most haunted house in the United States. Death Manor was built in 1880. Mildred lived here for 8 years in this house. She hung herself at the end of this hall. Tonight we're going to be monitoring 3 rooms, all of which have actual documented paranormal activity. I hope you all appreciate the public service I'm doing by being here. Are you still with what's her name? No, shh, we're here. Oh, come on, that doesn't even look real. I'm not falling for this Photoshop hack job. This must be her journal! Mildred is collecting souls to create the family she could never have in life.
She sold her soul to the devil.
I understand why you do what you do. I don't want to be remembered as a douchebag. Somebody help me!
Sean, I want you to meet someone.
This movie came out this year.
You paused for the dramatic effect.
I did.
It came out this year.
It was directed, written, produced, edited, composed by the husband and wife duo, Joseph and Vanessa Winter. Kudos to you guys. I also tip my hat to you, as I did the previous podcast, which may or may not be the one before this one that we did, where I tipped some other people.
Also starring Joseph Winter.
Also starring Joseph Winter. Yes, this is one of these films where it's like, hey, I want to make a movie and I'm going to do everything myself. Boom. I'm the star. It's like those old Western movies where the freaking guy comes into town and it's like, who's the mayor? Oh, here's the mayor. He also the barber. He also the main guy at the post office. He's the postmaster. What doesn't the guy do? Okay, he does it all. This is this duo. They're doing everything, of course, because it's an indie film.
Yeah.
It's indie horror, which I love. And even though many of you out there would say, ugh, it's found footage, and found footage is over. Is it over? Has it been done like a bajillion fucking times? Yes. But guess what? There's also like freaking 12 Friday the 13th movies and way too many Halloween movies. I'm not even counting past like fucking 3. We're ending at 3. But we all know that there's more than that. Way too much. So, yes, let there be a million fucking found footage movies. As long as they're good.
As long as they're good, that's the thing. People said they couldn't do a decent zombie movie either. Then Train to Busan came out and proved them all wrong. That's probably been the best zombie thing I've seen in years.
Yes, we were late on that boat. But yes, that movie is excellent. Very, very good. Troy Larson and the team for the special effects also. Tip my hat to you as well.
You got a lot of hats today.
I do have a lot of hats. I have multiple hats. They're for different functions. I have the tipping hat, and I'm using it today to tip everyone that's involved in this film for doing an excellent job. I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise to me too. A lot of times you see this and it looks like, oh, that's not going to be That's just going to be a chore to get through. But actually, this was pretty good. It moved along pretty well for what was basically a one-man show for a while.
Yeah, it was pretty much a one-man show for a long time. It reminded me of another film that I really loved from 2020, which was Host.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this whole, like, using technology in horror films, because a lot of the times, if you have technology in horror films, modern technology, it just makes the horror film pointless, because it's like, oh, why can't you just use your cell phone? Why can't you just do this? There's so many things you could just get out of a fucking situation. It wasn't back in the 80s and 90s, you know, where
or
it's
they
like,
have to go out of their way to explain now. They always have to have the scene with like, well, our cell phones won't work out here because there's no reception.
Exactly.
Or someone smashes the phone or something right away. You have to go out of your way. This one doesn't really deal with that. The technology is part of it. He's broadcasting all this stuff. He could have left at any time, but he was hanging in there to get more viewers.
Yeah, he could have. He could have, and he was hanging in to get more viewers, but he was tied because of the sponsorship.
Yeah.
So he couldn't leave because he had to take a little, he being Sean, had to take the character's name is Sean, he had to take a little hiatus because he did some shit that did not go well, and he had to take a little break. And then he comes back to try to win back his followers by doing a live stream of himself in an abandoned haunted house. So you already know that's going to be a fucked up situation.
Yeah.
There's going to be nothing but craziness ensuing.
And when I say he could leave, I know he would forfeit his money and he would lose like his sponsorship if he did that.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying he could have at some point said, you know what, this is too fucked up, I'm out of here. And he kind of does, but by that point it's a little too late.
Yeah, it is too late.
And I feel like he went to the extremes to make sure locking yourself in the house is one thing, but taking the distributor cap out of your car and throwing it into the woods, like, no, bro, don't do that.
But see, this is where writing is very important. He already told your ass he is a big baby, and he was not going to be able to stay in his house. He had to do all the things he did, which I appreciate that, because it does explain, like you're saying right now, like, oh, why did he do that? Or, you know, he did this. He could have gotten this out of the situation. He knew himself. He knew, like if it was me, I probably would have done the same thing, because I would have known I'm not going to be able to stay in this house. What, I have a working car, I'm going to bounce. Like, oh, the wind fucking blew a reed and I hear some weird noise. That's it. I'm out. I was in there. I streamed for fucking 5 seconds. Me walking up to the door, hearing the reed in the distance, and then leaving because I think it's a fucking crazy ass like coyote ghost or some shit coming to get me.
Oh, I'm calling that for my band name, Coyote Ghost.
So he has a crazy like YouTube like channel where he performs challenges, and this is, I love that they show this. I love the opening of this film, the live stream, the whole like comments. It's great, because this is the world we're fucking living in. This could be someone out there that would do some shit like this.
Yeah.
He's skiing naked. He got smuggled across the border. He throws stuff at cops and then like fucking books it. You know, he does all kinds of crazy shit. And he also has
excuse me.
This is the other thing that's the best. And Joseph Winter, like, high five. The character Sean also created a playlist for this abandoned haunted house live stream. So he's playing his own fucking music live that he has, ready to go for the crazy things, the different rooms in the house, like everything. He thought of everything. He puts cameras everywhere. Like, it's like, okay, he came to like capture some shit. He was not messing around. And you have immediately when he goes into that room and he sees that hand symbol, like,
oh yeah, leave that shit alone, bro.
Do not touch it. He's like, ugh, breaks it, throws it apart. I'm like, no, dude, don't do that. I feel like that's gonna be some shit that was protecting you. Because the second that happens, forget it. It's gone. And then what about, this is the one, I don't want to say the thing that bothered me about the film. It wasn't really so much a bother. It was unbelievable. I don't know if I should mention it because it is a new film. Usually we kind of like just talk about, we spoil the shit out of the films because a lot of the times we're doing films that are 20, 30 years old.
Or more.
This is pretty new. But spoiler alert, I guess, if you need to get out.
Just give a few seconds ahead.
A character shows up, a girl, and she's pretty
unique.
She's pretty unique, you know. Right off the bat, I was like, okay, this is something that could totally happen. Like, she's a fan of his show, and she shows up and wants to be a part of the shenanigans.
Yeah, she tracked him down. He's like, how did you find me? She's like, yeah, it's not that hard to find you. You told us where you were going to go.
Yeah, which is true. And he probably has his location on. Like,
yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy ways that you could find someone nowadays. Especially if she was up close. It's not like she was in, like, fucking, like, you know, whatever. I was going to say upstate New York, but my first thought is always going to be like, oh, somewhere in New York. Like, super far away, like in another state from where he was. She was like, in, like, very close. She was very close. What did you think about the whole film? Did you have like a favorite part or something that really like struck out that you like vividly remember?
There's a few things that stick out, but like I said, without trying to spoil everything, there's the great effects in it. There's some good scenes with some of the creatures in it that really, you know, they're really creepy. There's a great scene where he finally does say fuck this place and tries to make a run for it and runs into some things in the woods that are not his friends. And I love that part where he's finally realized too late I should get out of here and is out there trying to escape. And as soon as you see some of the people that are like, oh, this guy's coming to help, you're like, nah, he's really not going to be there to help, is he? But yeah, that was good. And I like I'm trying to remember, it was near the end when he was trying to figure out this, like a spell to help him out. And there's some pretty gruesome things he does there that are that I enjoyed. But yeah, there's a lot of great effects. That was what I mostly stuck out to me, was the effect shots where he's doing either something to himself, because kind of like the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, there's a lot of body horror in this, and some terrible things happen to him that you're like, oh God, this poor guy, even if he makes it out of this, he's still going to be scarred for life. Even from the stuff that didn't leave physical scars, the mental scars are going to mess you up forever.
Yeah, I don't know if I had mentioned that earlier, but I do have like Evil Dead effects because it reminded me a lot of the Evil Dead.
There's a very Evil Dead kind of vibe to it too. It's a serious movie, but yet there's a lot of humor in the things that happens to him, and that he, you know, obviously you see the crazy stuff that he's done on his channel, and realize that, well, this guy's kind of an ass, and some of the stuff you're kind of like, you know what, it'd probably be good for this guy to have the shit scared out of him out of here. It would teach him a lesson.
Once you see the fog in the woods, you know you're in a fuck situation. Yeah. Like, there were many, actually, like, parts of the film you're like, oh, he's fucked. But for me, fog in woods, no. That's a hell no situation. Run.
Yeah, once you've seen John Carpenter's The Fog, you know anytime you see fog, it's not going to end well for people.
No, and I love fog. If I'm already in a place where there's no one around, okay, it's an abandoned house, no. No, and no, and no. And especially if there's some kind of tribal thing going on, or you just don't fuck with symbols. There's a room in the house that's like the kids' room. Oh no.
Yeah, I don't fuck with a lot of things, and one of the things I definitely don't fuck with is evil children. Because every movie that has an evil child in it, no evil child. As soon as you see the fucking kid, rule of thumb, the kid starts speaking another language that they shouldn't know how to speak, get the fuck out.
No.
The kid shows up in the middle of nowhere in modern times and wearing, looks like dressed like Buster Brown, get the fuck out of there, because that kid's evil as hell.
Old-timey clothes. No. Barely anyone's going to know who Buster Brown is, babe.
Yeah. Old-timey clothes shows up in modern day, get the fuck out.
Now, kid's in the corner, and he's singing some fucking song. I don't care what the fucking song is. The song could be like, I love fucking bacon. I don't give a fuck. Because you could be the bacon. Your ass could be the bacon to him.
Yeah, it's not going to end well for you anytime there's a child that shows up in the middle of one of these movies. It's just not going to go well.
You have to get out of there. The no kid room. I was not about the no kid room. I liked as he went to each room, there was a story, because he did his research and he knew the history of the house and the main ghost that's seen, Mildred. which right there, that should tell you that's also a no situation. It's like an old-timey name.
Yeah.
This is not the worst witch. It wasn't going to be like a cute little girl. No, it's Mildred. It's a ghost. It's not going to be good times for you. And, you know, the whole history. Is the movie predictable? Sometimes. That didn't ruin the movie for me, though. Even though I may
doesn't
know...
necessarily mean bad.
Exactly. Well, to some snobby horror film viewers, that is a bad thing. They didn't want to go into a predictable film. But at the same time, I don't want to come out of like, you know, out of a film where I have to really think like, what the fuck was going on in this film? Like, should I have taken some drugs before I came to the film? Like, what did I miss? I want to know what's going on. Like, I don't want it to be completely ambiguous. I do not enjoy a film that's ambiguous. It pisses me the fuck off. It's not because I can't think of like what could be, but why do I have to think? I paid you money to tell me a fucking story, and I need to know exactly what's happening in this story, sir or ma'am.
A little ambiguity is fine, but when you just don't know anything that's going on. Now I agree, like the ambiguity of like in the original Halloween, we didn't really need to know why Michael Myers was doing it. He was just doing it. He was just evil, and we went with it.
I'm okay with that, because people are evil. We don't need to know the reasons.
Yeah, but if you had just done, you know, you never even showed Michael Myers as a human, you just randomly, I don't know.
It was only through Deborah Hill's eyes. You only saw the point POV the whole time. You don't even know what it is. It could have been a duck with a mask on. Who knows?
If you do that, that gets a little too
chicken boo.
It's a little too weird then. But yeah, you can go too far with it. A little bit's fine, but you take it too far and you're just left with questions and that's it.
Yeah, you got to cover all the bases, because then people listen to the podcast and then they come back and they're like, that movie sucked, man. It was so predictable. I don't want to hear that. Okay, yes, I already said it was slightly predictable, but it's a good time for a first film, even if it was a second film.
Movies, you look back at like even the original like Evil Dead. That's predictable. You know when they play the tape with the evil recording on it, bad things are going to happen, and any of these things are going to be predictable in a way.
But was it predictable for its time, though? I don't know. I wasn't alive during that time. I wasn't of age to watch that film at that time.
You were alive. You just weren't of age to watch that film.
That's neither here or there. My point is, I wasn't able to watch the film at that time. So was it predictable to you? Was it predictable to you? Because before that movie, I mean, obviously, movies existed and there were a bajillion of movies by then. But horror films, that wasn't something like now you think found footage, I always think back to like Blair Witch. Like, oh, this is another Blair Witch situation. You know what I mean? Like, oh, found footage. And all the other found footage movies in between. I always think of like, this is where it's going to go, you know? Oh, it's going to be a found tape. You know, it's going to end badly. You know, it's a ghost. Because there's found footages that movies that aren't ghosts, like Poughkeepsie Tapes, excellent movie. Really enjoy that film.
I think the biggest found footage film for me that defied convention is that As Above, So Below, where they go into the catacombs under Paris.
Yes, you showed me this film.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie, and it really, I won't say what it is, but it does something that very few found footage movies do.
I did enjoy the film. But back to Deadstream. I give it 3 knives.
Yeah, it's a solid 3-knife film. It's like I said, there's good acting, good effects. The what do you call it? The setting looks really good, even though it's all excuse me, still losing a little bit of my voice. The setting's all in one place, but that works. The claustrophobia of it makes it work for you, because you feel for the guy being trapped in this house and having no way out.
Yeah, there's definitely, you know me, I love me some character development. There's definitely character development for the Sean character. You know, Joseph Winter played him wonderfully, and it was really entertaining to me. And I was rooting for him. Yeah. Because even after the reveal of the terrible thing that he did, yeah, I was like, yeah, that was fucked up, but damn, I don't think anyone needs to die over that if that's where this is going to go, because that's really messed up. But at the same time, you know, is the lesson learned, you take things too far, you're eventually going to run into some issues.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth a watch. It is a Shudder original. It's on Shudder. I love Shudder. Please, Shudder, don't go
close,
away.
Yeah.
Vanessa and Joseph Winter also have another actually a short on Shudder in a sense. It's part of the VHS 99.
Yes.
It's the last story to Hell and Back, and we thoroughly enjoyed that. Literally the reason why I watched VHS 99 was to watch this their story, because I am not a fan of the franchise.
I've seen some good segments on them, but I feel like each of the VHS ones had like one really great segment, and then the rest were just okay or not good at all. The VHS Viral was probably my least favorite of them. But this one's pretty good, actually, pretty much all the way through. All the segments in this are pretty strong, and they're pretty good, but then the final one that the Winters do, called The Hell and Back, that one is probably the strongest one I've seen on VHSs for a long time.
I feel like in order to have a good anthology, you have to have a good wraparound. And they fail in a lot of their wraparounds. And I don't care for that. Because you're literally calling your franchise VHS, and it's supposed to be revolving around VHS, and I think a lot of the times it just falls through, and then some of the stories just feel like they're never going to end. It's like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? I mean, how long is this fucking story? I don't care about this. I don't like the franchise as a whole. There's, like you said, there are stories that I like more. The last 94, fucking hated 94. I was not a fan. I am a fan, however, of this To Hell and Back. And, you know, as someone that, you know, was alive in 1999, if you hear our podcast, we like to talk about the points in time and decades that I may or may not have been alive. I was definitely alive in 99. And my New Year's Eve was pretty similar to the New Year's Eve that Joseph and Vanessa wrote about. So, I mean, there were witches involved. There's altar. I may have gone to hell. There's different things that I experienced in my New Year's Eve, because my New Year's Eve was fucking hellish. So I was like, relatable. Boom. Love it. So definitely check their story out. If you don't want to watch, if you're also not a fan of the VHS franchise, just go all the way to the end, to the last story, and then you can watch, you know, what they did. And I'm really excited to see what they come with next. I'm like, oh, what's going on, Winters? And I also can't help but thinking about Dark Shadows when I say Winter. There's a character in there. You know, I'm not gonna even start that. We're just gonna skip. So I give the To Hell and Back. I also give Three Knives.
Yeah, it's a good segment. They I think they work well in feature and short film mediums, you know?
Definitely. I give them a high five. Check out both VHS 99 and Deadstream. That was you were supposed to come in and say Deadstream. I gave you the nod so you can.
Yeah, I missed it. Sorry.
Come in. Victoria Winter is a character in
I thought we weren't coming back to this.
No, I know, but this is like during your time frame ish. Yes and no, but
I just
still.
remember Barnabas.
Oh, Barnabas Collins?
Yes.
Okay.
And Collinswood. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt was the annoying child in the 89 version that they did. That's the one I saw. I was not born when the original came out.
Well, no, obviously it was in black and white. You're not that old. Jesus, come on. Unless you're a fucking vampire, which, hey.
Yeah, if I was, you'd be the first to know.
I would totally be the first to know. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Jump Scare. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.